Hi guys, back again. Well, I'll say back again. I haven't really been on for ages, to be honest. You're probably all wondering, bloody hell, where's he been? But do you know what? It's because I've had a lot to do this week. I've been busy working, been busy doing my t-shirts, and been busy with other things. So I haven't really done much live stream this week. I mean, I might have been there in the background, and yeah, Davey A's been filling in for me doing his Ghostbuster thing. So I appreciate Davey A helping out while I've been busy doing other things. And I did remember saying to you what kind of things do you want me to do, because I went to the pictures last week and saw a really good film that was science fiction. And I did ask you guys whether you wanted me to do, what was it called? Suicide Squad. That was the one. So I've come together and I'm actually doing it. I'm actually doing Suicide Squad this week. And I thought it'd be a really interesting topic. But rather than me speaking about Suicide Squad, I've actually got someone interesting who is willing to help me out with talking about Suicide Squad and what he thought of the movie. Because I know if I start talking about what I thought of Suicide Squad, you'd be like, shut up, you don't even know about the film, what are you on about? So, without further ado, I've got the famous, you might have seen him before doing the Bill and Ted movie reviews. He's come on and did the Bill and Ted movie reviews, and he's also known as the 80s enthusiast. And please give a round of applause for the famous William Robinson, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Hello, Will. How are we today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You enjoying your time off?
I am, yeah. Having a nice relax from work.
Yeah. So, thanks for joining me today on the greatest movie, science fiction. So, Will, you love your science fiction, don't you?
I do.
Out of all films, what made you like Suicide Squad? Like, what made you like it? What made you like have an obsession for Suicide Squad? Like, why did you like the film in general?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I didn't actually go to the cinema to see the first one, and it wasn't until it came out on DVD that I saw the first Suicide Squad, and then I watched it with my brother Joe, and I know there's like quite a mixed opinion about the first Suicide Squad. I know it's like some people really hated it, and then some people really liked it. But I love this just because I remember Joe telling me the other day that like Jared Leto was one of the most disliked Jokers. But personally, obviously I prefer like Jokers like Heath Ledger and choking on me on spit, Joaquin Phoenix. But I think Jared Leto did do a good job of playing a different kind of approach to the Joker.
Yeah, I was going to say, Will, I don't want you to die on me when you said you choked on your own spit. We can't be having that now, can we? Suicide Squad, from what I saw of it, was a really interesting film because when Joe said to me, do you want to go and see Suicide Squad or Space Jam? I was thinking, Suicide Squad, I've heard about that. I mean, I've never actually seen it before, and because I've never really given it the time of day to be a big fan of science fiction. But I've got to say, when I did see Suicide Squad, I really was impressed by the whole storyline and the whole connection that the characters are like the actors were building to the characters and the whole story and what went on behind it. But for you, with the Suicide Squad, having watched the film, who's your favourite character that you like of Suicide Squad?
I don't actually know. I think through in both the films, because there's a few ongoing characters from the first Suicide Squad, and they're in the new Suicide Squad now. I quite like Colonel Rick Flag. I think he's just like an all-round good character.
Yeah.
But I think if I was going to choose my favorite from both films, probably Deadshot from the first.
Deadshot.
Yeah, I quite like him.
What I mean, going back to the characters in Suicide Squad, of course. What did you make about the starfish in the second one? Did you find it weird having a starfish in there compared to the first one? Because the first one was all about a different type of alien character, but the second one had a starfish in it. What did you think about the monster in the first one compared to the second one? What did you make of that when you very first watched it?
Yeah, well, I think probably with the second one, because after seeing the first one, I'd seen like rumors online about there being a second one, and I started checking out all like the behind the scenes photos of the second film, and I was just thinking, is this going to be like a sequel, or is it just going to be a remake, or I didn't know what to take of it, so because I saw it had the same title, so I didn't really know what to make of it, but I just started having behind the scenes photos. And I thought it was quite clever how you were doing it. So we like carried on with the same sort of premise, but it was a different Suicide Squad. And I saw all like the different creatures that were in it. I thought it was really, especially because I saw like early works of what the Starfish was going to look like. I thought, I don't know how they're going to go at this here, but I think they went at it really well. Like with the whole way when the big starfish expelled all like the little starfishes and just like took over everything. I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah, because it's very clever the way they did that, because it's like when we went to go and see that Ad Astra and they added that chimpanzee in it, and you thought, whoa, hang on a minute, like what's all that about adding a chimpanzee? Because it didn't make much sense to the story that he was in space and the next minute a chimpanzee appeared out of nowhere. But the fact that it is a science fiction film and they did want to add like a creature in it made it all clever in a way, because it made us think as an audience, oh shit, yeah, well, they've got to destroy that alien, because that's what the film's all about, isn't it? It's about a team of people, it's about a squad, and they all start off in prison, don't they? And they team up to go and fight the aliens and they try and save the planet type of thing.
Yeah.
But going back to, like, obviously we see Harley Quinn in it, don't we? She's the main she's the main cast, Harley Quinn. I don't know what her real name is, so if you'd like to enlighten me what her real name is.
The actor's name?
Yeah, it's Margot Robbie, isn't it? So the likes of Margot Robbie, she plays a brilliant character in Suicide Squad, doesn't she? That character is suited for her. So what did you make about Harley Quinn's character in Suicide Squad? Like, what did you make of it for the first time seeing Harley Quinn? Did you think that she was believable, or did you think, like, bloody hell, like, she's really got, like, I really believe everything she's saying here? Like, what did you think when you first watched it?
Yeah, well, I think, like, you know the way you get some characters and you think, like, they're really suited to the role. You couldn't imagine anyone else playing them. And I think that's the case with Margot Robbie and Harley Quinn, just because all like the little mannerisms and just how she plays it just really well. Just all like the little details that even if you're not thinking about what she's doing, you can just tell that it's just really suited to the role. Like she's not thinking at the time, like, I'm doing this for a certain reason to make my character more believable. She's probably just doing all these little things, and when people are watching it, it's just, you don't even have to think about it. You just can tell that she's really suited to the role.
Yeah, because with her, it's like she's being casted as a great character in Suicide Squad, aren't she? Because she is believable, and the way she portrays that character is really well. Because if you stuck her in anything else, like Margot Robbie, she's really good at acting, but it's like, what else could she bring to the table in another film? Because if you see her in Suicide Squad, she'll end up playing Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad compared to any other film. So it's like, at that time when she was auditioning for it, she must have got like an urge to think, I'm going to put my heart and soul into this character and go in and think about the backstory before I just put my own twist on it. So for her, it's like that character for her just suited her down to a T.
Yeah, I think.
What else I was going to say is, like, that character suited her like really down to a T. But like, what did you think? Did you think it suited her down to a T, or what?
Yeah, I guess like I think she really suited it because sometimes you get actors and they're like glad their own stuff to the role, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes it really works. Like in Back to the Future, George, the character Crispin Glover who played George McFly added his own thing to the role, and I think it made
Mm,
the actual character of George a bit more believable. Because I was watching the behind the scenes the other day, and it's just all stuff
mm,
that I never thought of that made it better. I think that's the case with Margot Robbie as well. I don't think like I think she would add a bit of her own stuff and she'd make suggestions. But I think if you stick to like the script and you stick to the source of where it's coming from, all the comic books, I
yeah,
think if you do that, you're gonna give the fans of the film what they want to see portrayed on the
yeah.
screen. I think
I mean,
that's yeah,
that's exactly right there because if you've got like pardon me. Ooh. If you've got like a good film, if you've got like a good story, good synopsis, I
yeah,
think that's what makes a good film in a way because that's what we want to see as an audience. Like
yeah.
if you look at the likes of the new film that Jodie Comer's in right now, The Free Guy,
Oh
I
yeah,
see it's like going back to Margot Robbie in a way. I see Jodie Comer as like Killing Eve,
yeah,
that type of character. But so if Margot Robbie was actually in a film, I would probably see her as like the Harley Quinn because it's
yeah,
like, okay, so what type of stuff are you gonna bring? Because right now, what you're telling me is you're still Harley Quinn. You're not a different character. You're not like a different Margot Robbie in a way. You're not bringing much to the table.
yeah,
So that's why I think like with these films, it's really, really great. And with what you were saying, like the storyline is what makes the film. But it's not just
yeah,
the storyline, it's how the actors tell it.
yeah,
It's well and good having a good script and writing. It's the writing of it, of course, but it's how it's executed down on paper and it's how the actors deliver it. Now, for
yeah.
you as a movie fan, did you think the actors did well playing the part in Suicide Squad compared to how it was written? What did you think of that?
Yeah, well, I think with like, if you get like a really good actor, they can just jump from role to role, and like sometimes you like as you were saying then with Margot Robbie when she's playing Harley Quinn, you will think when you see her not like when actually no sorry when you were saying about Jodie Comer in Free Guy compared to Killing Eve, like she's sort of the same character because you still think of her as what she was in Killing Eve because it was such a big
Yeah,
role
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
such a big personality character. Sorry, it's like she's such a big personality character, and you see her in other films, and you think, "All I can see is Killing Eve." But I think with
Mm,
some actors, you like they're actually that good of an actor. They can just do certain roles so well that even if you see them in other things, each role in each film is a different person, and you can just play just any character you want and play it really
yeah,
well.
yeah. Because moving on from Harley Quinn, I found that do you know that guy who had who started throwing up all these different colours. I mean, they look like sweeties.
Go do
They
that,
look
yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
way he started, like, it looked like he was throwing up like loads of starbursts and that. But like, his like superpower was really interesting in a way. So I honestly think like the way that was written, and because they must have like had like a board meeting to think, right, what can we bring to the table with these characters? Like what can we make? How can we make these characters interesting in a way? So
yeah,
let's do the guy who blasts loads of starburst mixtures,
yeah. That's what I mean. I
and
think
that
there's. I was like, on.
and it's like what you were gonna say then, like how you know what you mean. Like it's like
Yeah,
you know what to look for in like a film as well. Do you know what I mean when it comes to like science fiction characters? Because you couldn't have just like me and you like sitting there going, "Are you babe?" Like
yeah,
you couldn't do that for a science fiction story now, could you? But with this guy's whole idea of the character that he wanted to bring into it and the fact that like he was using his superpowers to blast all the coloured stuff out was
yeah.
really interesting. What did you find? What did you think about that? About his superpower in the film? How did that make you like feel?
Yeah, I gotta say at first I didn't really know what to expect because you get you realize what a superpower is, but you don't realize what it does. And then like there's some scenarios where he'll get so like built up and angry that he'll just expel all his polka dots. And I think that's another interesting thing as well, because if you go back to like the writers' room, and you'll see they've probably had all these different ideas
Yeah.
of how to use a superpower, because someone's probably come up with the idea of polka dots, and someone's probably laughed at them because you think, what can they do with polka dots? But if you, as like I was saying before, if you execute an idea really well,
Yeah.
it works. Like, 'cause I think that works, because I think as well with the polka dots, they don't look that threatening, but once you realize they do, it's like he's the most threatening one there.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes every science fiction character more interesting, because when you see the others, like the other character was like strong, the other character wanted to fight another character type
Yeah,
of thing, and then in the end, it's like what we saw in the film. It's like when they went into that big, when they were going, I don't know where they were going now, but when they went into that big building, and next minute you just saw all these like little starfishes, and then you
yeah,
saw this guy turn on the other characters in there just because he wanted this hard drive. So
yeah,
even the characters as well, the fact that it was all about how they wanted to get this hard drive, because if
yeah.
they didn't get this hard drive, then they couldn't protect the world and all that. Now
Hmm.
for us as the character, now for us as the audience, it's like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? Is he gonna
Yeah,
kill them? Is he gonna do what? Oh my god! Do you know, that type of thing?
yeah,
And it's like that. It's like if you've got a good story to tell, of like, we need to add this in, rather than just going, yeah, so I think we just need to get the superpowers and the starfishes, and yeah, at the end, really. Where I feel like if you've got like an interesting concept, I feel like you take it to a script writer. The first 10 pages of a script is always crucial, because that's what they think. Oh yeah, I can
hmm,
see this. I can visualize it. I can just see how it's going to look. I can just see how it's going to be edited. I
it
can
gives you
just
a
see it in my
build as
mind.
well. Yeah,
And as the audience, we don't see this,
yeah,
but as the audience, it's all about like what we were saying. It's all about how the actors perceive it, and how it's like how they put their own twist on it.
yeah.
And what did you think of that, of how the story was told, and obviously how the story related to you, and what you thought about the characters? What did you think about that?
Yeah. Well, like I was saying before, I'm glad they brought back some of the characters like Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, and because I wasn't sure what it was going to be at first. I thought it was going to be a different story, like a whole different storyline, or it was going to be just like a prequel maybe, or I didn't know, I wasn't sure, because I've seen all these behind the scenes, I've seen all these characters in these costumes, and I thought, I wonder what's going to happen here. But I think the way they did it, where it's still the same Suicide Squad, it's just like when they've been taken to that prison and they've been called up for the duty in the Suicide Squad. I think that was a really good storyline, that, because it wasn't too different from the first film, but in a good way. Like
Yeah,
you still, like, you can still relate to it, and it's just, I think they did it really well, because you can still, it's simple, but you can still build off it, and you can come up with loads
yeah.
more ideas.
I mean, it's weird, because what was interesting about it, I mean, because like I've never actually like kind of seen the first one, but the transition, it's like the flashbacks of the
Yeah.
first one into the second. There we go. Compared to the second one, it's
Hmm.
like the first one was kind of like telling you the first story of like how it happened. Like when you look, it was like they had the A team first,
Yeah.
and then they had the B team.
Yeah.
So it was like it was telling you what type of stuff happened in the first beginning. Because right now, if they didn't do that, none of us would know what happened in the first Suicide Squad. Because if you didn't bring back the characters, you'd be thinking, "Whoa, hang on a minute, like this is new. What happened here?" Because as an
Yeah.
audience, you forget what happened in the first one, because it's been that long ago. It's been like the film comes out, okay, finished, put it to the back of the queue here, back to the
Yeah.
Sainsbury's queue. How long's this gonna be? So that kind of thing. So it's like it's good that they put the recap in there, but like
Yeah.
what you were saying is they didn't add too much into the new one. They kept it with the first one as well. Where
Yeah.
normally with the first films, it's like, yeah, this is absolutely excellent, and this is like a really good film. And then when you have your second film, it's like, oh, is the second sequel going to be better than the first because they've already topped the first being brilliant?
Yeah.
So is the second one going to be good? But the fact that they've kept the transitions there for the film, it's just really good how it's led in to the first one. So it's kept us on our toes, thinking about, oh, what's going to happen next then? What did you think about the transitions?
Yeah, like you were saying there as well. I think if you're gonna do a sequel sort of, you've got to have some sort of a recap from the last one, so you can still like. I think the majority of people probably if you're going to see that will have seen the first one, but it's still nice to have like a recap of what's happened previously, just so it can refresh your memory, and it just like leads on to that film. Then and it's only one big film, just with it just like all piled together. If you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting in a way because it's like if you like kind of take your mum out to the pictures and she's never seen Suicide Squad, and then every 5 minutes she's like, "What's going on, Will? What's going on? What's going on?" Well, if you watch the recap, mum, you'll be able to see it. So it gives you that inkling of like what it's actually all about, because as an audience, if you didn't have that, you'd be like, "Well, whoa, shit! What's happened here? Is he being killed off? Is he alive? Is the storyline changed much? Have they still got this? Have they still got that? Is Harley Quinn back in? What's going on?" So it's good to see that in a way.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I think like when you say, I think like because in some points it was told from different people's perspectives as well. Like, do you know when Peacemaker was going to shoot that girl to get the hard drive?
Yeah.
And then what's his name? I can't remember his character name now, but Idris Elba's character. Anyway, it goes like 8 minutes before that, before like everyone got into that building. And it goes back 8 minutes and it shows you his perspective. I think that was a really good way of showing you how everything pieces together in the end.
Yeah, I mean, because like Idris Elba's character, it's weird because I've never actually seen Idris Elba in any science fiction film at all. So when he probably got that script, he probably thought, yeah, I can put my all on this, because I feel like if going back to what I was saying, if the script's good, then the actor's gonna go, yeah, I want to be a part of that. But if the script's not good, they're like, not feeling this. You know what I mean? But I feel like everyone's character was interesting because they all had something to bring to the table rather than it all being the same. And it's not very controversial in a way. So it's like, oh, so what's going on here? So it was interesting. Obviously, you've got the Peacemaker, who's all about the peace and all about how he wants to be calm and stuff like that. And then you've got the girl who's got the power of the rats as well. Now that was interesting that she had a power of the rats, because at first I was thinking, how did she get the power of bringing the rats alive? But it was interesting to see a flashback moment of her dad telling her about what the best way is to bring all the rats together. That was interesting about how the story got told behind there, because if that never got told, we wouldn't have known how she got that power of bringing the rats alive.
Yeah,
what did you think?
That's what I mean. I think with films, it's really important because, like you were saying minutes ago, if you don't know what's going on, you're going to be asking someone every 5 minutes, or you're just going to be confused throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And as stuff keeps happening, you're just going to keep getting more confused. But I think it's important to see the backstory sometimes, so you got a better insight. Because I remember Joe saying to me once, I don't remember what film it was, but you were just saying like every 5 minutes something was happening, and you just have no clue why. But I think it's sometimes it's important that you see into like you actually see it detail.
Yeah, because in a way it's how it's perceived really, because because it's like every human being, we all have good ideas of what we want and how we want it to be, how we want it to look. But then in another set of eyes, it's like, well, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. So it's like when I was saying to you about the whole book. So obviously Suicide Squad was obviously comics and books, wasn't it? So with Suicide Squad being a book, it's probably thinking, they're probably telling you all the story of what's going on. But really, we're not seeing what's going on in the book compared to what we're seeing in the film, because it's telling us a different point of view, because the way the scripts are written, it's completely different to a book format. So they're putting their own take on the script compared to the book. So it's like going back to like the Da Vinci Code of that being made into a film. And then Joe says to me the other day, I've read the book, but right now I don't understand the actual film because it's nothing like to the book. And that's what Suicide Squad's probably like. It's probably like a book where you read the book and think, wow, want to watch the film. But then you think, whoa, hang on a minute. Like, what I'm seeing in the book is not what it's like on the film. So what do you think of that compared to the whole transition of that?
Yeah, I think like you were saying about the Da Vinci Code. Then I think with that they missed out certain details, and if you have read the book and you're expecting to see something in the film, and they just cut it out completely and they miss all these details, it's just going to confuse you. Obviously, I think if you haven't read the book first, I remember Joe saying that obviously if like there's these films that are made into books, there's books that are made into films, and if you haven't read the book first, it's going to be all right because it will make for a really good film because they are building on the book, but not that much that you'd know all the details of it, and it will make a really good film. But I think if you have read the book first and you know every single little detail about it, and you go and see the film, it's just going to be confusing because you're expecting to see all the stuff and all the backstories, and you just get cut out.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite like it's one of those things with books, isn't it? It's like you read a book and you think, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind going to see that film. Yeah, it's really interesting, like reading the book and blah blah blah. But it's like going back to like what we were saying about like all books. Like you've got your Da Vinci Code, Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Like Boy in the Striped Pajamas is like a sad film, but it's like what you read in the ending of that book is completely different to what's being filmed and put down in the script. So every little bit of crucial detail is what makes the script even more like juicy in a way, and what makes us like it even more, because it's like you want something where you can relate to it as well. And not saying you can't relate to Suicide Squad. Ooh. Stop it. God, these earphones. It's like what we were saying about the whole like relating to it. So it's all about like how it's perceived and how you can relate to stories. And I just feel like if you miss out crucial details, you're never going to understand the full synopsis of what it's saying. What do you think? Because you're a big movie fan, aren't you? What do you think about crucial details and how it looks and how we feel as an audience? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well I think with like I'll say about the books and I'll say about the films, because with books, when you first read the book, you've got all these details, you got these images in your head, and it's probably one of the hardest things to do because you have all these images of, say for example, like Stephen King's It. When you first read that, you've probably got all these images in your mind of what the clown's going to look like and all the characters, and then you go and see the film, and like personally, I really like both the films. I like the 1990 adaptation of it, and I like the most recent, the 2017 and 2019, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I think they are really good, and I think it's probably one of the hardest things to do is turn a book into a film, because all the fans have got these ideas in their head, and you're trying to put that down onto an actual, trying to create that image so you can go and see it. And I think there's something films that do that really well, like It. And I think going back to the actual films now, when you go and see a film, and do you know what Easter egg in the film, like where there's like things in the background for you to notice. I think like that's one of the things I really love doing, where you go and see a film and you try and check for all these Easter eggs in the background, because it's like a little nod to fans, and it's like showing you that they're still caring about all the little details in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to what we were saying about. Sorry, keep on changing subject, but it's like what we like going back to. It's going back to the story about Suicide Squad. That's what it's all about. It's all about like crucial details and that, because if you didn't add flashbacks episodes in any like other films, whether it's programs we would never know as an audience what actually went on until we're like reassured of what went on. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I always feel like it's really crucial to add those points in. I mean, what do you think about crucial details and adding flashbacks and seeing flashbacks moments in a film? What do you think of that when you watch a film?
That's one of my favorite things, because even in like episodes of television programs, they show flashbacks, and I just think it's interesting to see characters, but like before the characters that you've already seen. I just think it's interesting to see what's happened to them, why what they've been made, like what's happened to them to make them like that.
Yeah. I mean, because we would, if with that rat, with the woman who had the superpower rat, we would never know how she got that power unless we had a flashback moment. And the only reason why we knew she had that power is because there was a flashback moment in there where her dad taught her how to gain that superpower of her bringing the rat to life. Like, we would never know it, but like it's like going back to the guy who spits all the starbursts out. It's like, why has he got that superpower? Like, why is he so afraid to come out of his shell? And then when he told us an insight about his mum, it's like, oh, okay, so that's why you've got it. And that's why it's like, as us as human beings trying to write a script, it's like, it's really good that we've got ideas down, but it's always better to get a second pair of eyes, because a second pair of eyes means, oh, have you thought about adding this in? Or have you thought about adding that in? I feel like the audience will relate to a flashback moment here, and we need to tell them of how she got that superpower with the rats. Otherwise, if we don't say that, the audience will go, whoa, hang on a minute. I'm not understanding this right now. Well, what's going on?
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, like, I think, like, when you're saying about the audience as well, I think the first one compared to the second one, they've stepped up in a lot of things. They've stepped up, like, they've definitely stepped up, you know, in the gore. Like, there's still, like, when you actually see people getting killed, because I don't want to sound sick or anything, but I'm quite a big fan of like horror films, and I quite like to see the gore in them. So I didn't really mind that as such, because I know some people probably wouldn't like that, and then some people really like the gore, because there's people like in the horror films of the 80s. There was a effects designer called Tom Savini, and he was one of the best effects designers for all the gore and like the blood. And I've watched like all behind the scenes footage of him making masks and just doing all these really good effects. And I saw that it made me think about that a little bit. The way, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just stepped up a lot in like the blood factor.
Yeah, because when you think about it, it's interesting you're saying that, because there's a lot of CG. Like we were saying that the other day, the CGI is nothing compared to what it was in the 80s, because a lot of CGI films now are not really good. Where the CGI, there wasn't more like money splashed out like what there is now. So everything was like pre-made like everything was like more originalized with the ideas, where with CGI now it's like it's not the same, because they've kind of splashed out more with the CGI. So it's like and it's like if you have too much CGI, it's like, where do you kind of draw the line? But the fact that you like gore, it's like, it's really interesting, because it goes back to when she was in that castle and she's flirting with this guy but then kills him. And I'm thinking, whoa, hang on a minute. So the way they've added a bit of special effects here with the blood and that, and it makes you actually think, like, bloody hell, like, is he really dead here? Like, is that his real blood? Like, as an audience, if you're not into films, you don't know, do you? Like, you wouldn't know about the whole stage makeup thing. And that's where it's really clever, adding that effect in for stage makeup. And that's the crucial detail that you see in it, is the stage makeup, and that's what makes it more interesting. Makes us think, like, oh, bloody hell, is he really dead? Like, what's happening here? Is he what's gone on? Like, what do you think of all like the stage makeup and CGI as an audience of obviously watching films? What do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think as well. Like some films now, though, they do handle it quite well. With like, I think there was some parts of this where they handled it well. There was some parts where they did. There was a lot of gore and like CGI, and it looked okay. Just like sometimes you think it's like quite over the top, and then there was other times where they handled it really well, where it was just like they managed to pull it off. And I think with some films now, that it's the same sort of thing. Like in The Martian, they didn't use too much CGI, but they used enough that it looked realistic.
Yeah.
And
Um,
in this as well, they used enough that it looked realistic, but it wasn't like completely over the top. It would just blow
I
everyone
mean,
off.
the Martian, what you were saying there, they're very clever of how they probably do it because they probably think, well, too much CGI could put people off, so I'll use a bit in there. But with the whole the whole Suicide Squad, it was interesting because they didn't use an awful lot of
Yeah,
like special effects moments. It was mainly like going shooting like the aliens and stuff like that. So they added it in clever ways. To be honest, they didn't want to like overdo it because
yeah.
you find as an audience if you overdo it and it's put on,
Like
it's gonna take the shine away.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's gonna take the shine away. So what did you think about the way they done it in that film? What did you make of all the CGI and special effects that they done in Suicide Squad?
Yeah, I thought they were brilliant. Like you were saying then, I think if you add like only unbelievable amount of them, it just takes the shine away from the film, and it just you feel like the film doesn't have like a proper storyline to go off. It's just like everyone shooting everyone, and it just feels like it's going on a bit. Then there's no proper storyline or
Yeah,
to go off, and you just feel like people are getting shot for the sake of getting shot. But I think with this,
yeah.
even when people, even when there was like all the unbelievable visual effects, there was still some sort of storyline to go off, and they weren't just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, when they very first wrote the script, they probably thought about
Step
how
it
can
up.
we make this film? How
Yeah.
can like it's like writing a series. So like I got told at the moment, Killing Eve is
Mm.
now doing a series 4, and they're going to step it up a notch. Now going back to a film like the second part of Suicide Squad, they thought, do you know what? Like, I'll write Suicide Squad and I'll write it, not realizing whether it's going to be a success. So they probably didn't realize it was going to be a success until it obviously got to the pictures and us fans watched
Yeah.
it and then we fell in love with it. So that's why they probably decide to step it up a notch in the second one because if you see it in the first one, probably nothing went on much
Yeah.
storyline wise. Like it probably was just a bit like, and then the second one was like, oh yeah. So like that's where it's going because if you see the flashback moments of the first one, it's like it wasn't as interesting compared to what you're seeing with the second one. What
Mm.
did you think about the whole first and second part of Suicide Squad when you've looked at the flashback? What did you think?
Yeah. Well, I think the flashbacks in the first one are probably to build the characters up a bit more, just so you get to know them. It creates
Mm.
like a character bond then. Whereas in the second Suicide Squad, I think the flashbacks are more just to show you who they were, rather than they probably did build a bit of a character bond because it made you feel sorry for like the girl whose dad was addicted to heroin, and she obviously grew up around that. And but yeah, I think it was more just to show the backstory rather than I don't know. It might still have been to build the character bond, but I think it was more just to show like just to create the atmosphere and to show you all different perspectives of the characters.
Yeah, I mean that's what we want as an audience because right now it's like if we watch a film, it's like, well, so who's this? Who's that? What's he saying? What does he do? And as an audience, you want to know that because how are we supposed to know who your character is? I
Yeah,
mean, but it's all about going back to what I was saying. It's all about what the actors bring to it. It's all about the writing, yeah, and it's all about the way it's produced on paper. But at the
mm,
end of the day, it's how the actors bring their own like stint to the table to make it look like, oh wow, this is brilliantness.
yeah.
Like what do you think of all that?
Well, yeah, I think I was actually thinking before. I wonder if do you know like method acting.
Yeah,
I know that what Joaquin Phoenix did that for his interpretation of the Joker. I don't know, but like it's obviously hard for actors to do, but it makes the film turn out really good in the end. And I was thinking before, I wonder if Margot Robbie did that because Harley Quinn's such a like full on character, and she's got all the it's just like her emotions are changing constantly. I wonder if she had to do some sort of method acting to get into that role.
yeah. Well, it's all about taking the risk as well with the acting, and a lot of the actors that play these characters, they probably took risks,
Mm.
and they probably did something where a director was like, "Oh, I might change that, but I'll keep that in because that was spot on." So
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So it's like that type of thing, and it's all about taking the risk. So Margot Robbie probably took that risk to do something, and it probably worked, and
yeah,
that's how it worked. But it's like what you were saying about method actor. Like if you look at Keith Ledger as the
yeah,
Joker locking himself in the dark room to get like that. If you look at and for example Margot Robbie with Harley Quinn, how many times must she have had to practice that accent
yeah,
or practice getting getting the tears on point? So when
mm,
she films that, it's like real and we believe it because you see it with loads of actors these days where they try and cry going "Ooh," and stuff like that, and really it's like you're not even crying. But for her, it's like she got it to a T, and
yeah,
that's what it's all about. Is if you're giving us that, it's like oh shit. So what happened next?
yeah.
So what did you think?
I think because you'll see that sometimes you'll go and check the behind the scenes footage of films, and you'll see actors trying to pull off certain things. And there was I think it was Final Destination 3 at the end. Like you know, way in Final Destination they have premonitions before they find out what's going to happen to them, so they have like a premonition, and then it starts becoming true, so they can try and save themselves from dying.
Yeah,
I remember at the end of Final Destination 3 once, where there was one of the girls. She thought she'd saved everyone, but at the end she had another premonition before she was on a train, and she had a premonition, and at, by accident she got like a teardrop, and they were filming right close up onto her eye so they could zoom out. But she only got that teardrop once, and the director really liked how it looked. So she wanted to try and he wanted to try and get her to do it again, but it took like 30 takes or something like that for her to do it again. Just that one teardrop, and she couldn't do it. So I think with stuff like that, it just shows you how hard it must be to cry on spot or get the exact emotion on spot. I think with oh, you on.
yeah. Go on. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think with even working on films must be hard, but especially just being an actor, you've got to get like you were saying before, you got to get everything down to a T and get it exactly right.
I mean, you can get stuff down to a team. It's like what we were saying about making yourself cry. I mean, if you can't cry, which most actors can't,
Yeah,
they'll use a tear stick in your eye to make your eye sting and obviously get the water down and everything. But I feel like it's all about like emotional recall in a way. So rather than thinking about what happened to your family, it's always better to think about another person that you don't know that is that it's happened to make you cry. And if you've got like emotional blocks as an actor, it's hard to try and overcome that because as an actor, you your natural instinct is being happy all the time. Like you're
yeah,
not a crier, are you? Do you know what I mean? So it's like if you can get that down to a T, making yourself cry, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about like the crucial detail. But if you've got takes and takes and takes where the director wants you to do it, it's how you're gonna keep on doing it perfectly all the time because no one can do it. Well, I mean,
yeah,
what do you think if that was you?
yeah. I think that's one of the reasons I couldn't be an actor because when you're aware of actors, and I remember you telling me that like Judy Dench is really shy when she's not in a film or when she's not being filmed, but when she's in a role, she can just go into that role and just she doesn't think as if she's there. She thinks as if she's that character. But I think that's
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I couldn't be an actor because you've got to have that sort of mindset of it's not you acting, it's your character. But I think I would try and be able to do that, but I think you've got to have the right sort of personality to be able to do that, and I just don't think I'd be able to, because I want to be able. Sometimes I have these ideas for short films, or I have these ideas for just scripts, and I'll think, oh, that'd be quite good to make into a film. That, and I always think I could just do some sort of short film with me and like you maybe and like some people, but I always think I could get into that role, but I don't know how to describe it really. I think it'd be hard,
Yeah.
that happy medium between being you and being your character.
Yeah, I mean, it's where like you kind of draw the line. It's like with actors like writing their own scripts, isn't it? And it's like they come out of their line, they come out of being an actor, but then the directing. But
Yeah,
like the directors for this film, they must have had to pre-think everything of how it was going to look, how it was going to come across, how it
yeah,
was going to be edited, and how it was going to look, and the whole picture and the whole synopsis. Because it's like it's well and truly good writing it, but it's how it's going to get filmed and the whole shot. Because we see it as we see it like ourselves, where like probably you, where you're looking to the backstory, but you don't realize how long it actually takes to film something, because you think, oh fucking hell, they're only filming walking through a door, piece of
yeah,
piss that. But you don't realize how many takes it
yeah,
takes to get that spot on. Now
mm,
in the Suicide Squad, when they were filming that and the audience on the street was doing it, seeing it, they probably thought, fucking hell, like they're only walking, like what's going on here? Like,
mm,
move, I want to get out. Do you know what I mean? So, but
yeah,
like they're having to retake because
yeah,
they want to get the camera angles right, and it's all about the positioning of how it
yeah,
looks on the screen. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like me taking a picture and I'm thinking, right, I've just took a picture now, but it's
yeah,
how it looks. And then
yeah,
if it looks crap, you've got to do it again. So for the actors, they're probably thinking, oh, for God's sake, I want to move on. But for the directors,
yeah,
every crucial detail matters when they're filming it and obviously directing, because they want the producer seeing that, and the producer wants to know what it's going to look like. So
yeah.
final detail matters in that. What do you think about the final detail about that film? Like, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I think it shows you how long it must take to make a film, because I was in Manchester the other week and I was walking past a place where they were filming something. I don't know whether it was an advert or it was like a little short film. But there was like 50 people just getting all these cameras, and like, there was like 50 people behind the camera, and they were just filming this woman walking by a building, and she looked at the sign and she walked into a door, and then because you think that it'd only take about two or three,
Yeah,
maybe three or four goes, but it took about maybe 9 or 10. I was stood there watching it, and you think at the time, oh, I wonder why they have to do it. But it's because the director probably wants to get all like the little details right, just to make
yeah,
whoever's watching it feel what the character's feeling. And it just shows you how, if it takes about 9 or 10 tries to just film that, imagine how long it must take to film like action sequences, and it just shows you how much goes into a film. Not even just the film, and just like design of the costumes and effects and all like editing at the end of films. It just shows you like why it takes about 3 years to make a film. Well, I mean,
yeah.
it may be long, yeah, but
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's going back to what you were saying. It's like when I was filming in Manchester
hmm,
for Stephen Morrissey. It's like they were making the roads wet, and then they must have did about like 10, 11 takes on getting it right. And you
hmm,
think, oh, for God's sake, but only for like a split-second clip. But
yeah,
it's like you're right there, because it's like all the crucial detail matters in a film, because if
yeah,
you don't have that, it's gonna look awful. It's like when you're editing it, the sound's got to be like spot on. It's got to be crystal clear, because if we went to the cinema, for example, and they're promoting that film, we're
yeah,
going to walk out as the audience and go, that film was absolutely shit. I don't know about you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you want the best of the best, don't you? And
yeah,
especially it's like as a director, you want it to look spot on because it's what you're creating, and
Yeah.
it's what it's going to look like. And if you're telling your parents or your family about it, you're going to want it looking great. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And how would you feel if you did like a film of like Suicide Squad, and you were doing takes and you told your family that you want them to go and see it? How would you feel directing it and like seeing it through the camera? What would you do to kind of create that film in such a detailed, crucial manner? What would you do?
Well, I think you got to have a bit of a balance, because I think you've got to you got to listen to the fans and what they want. And I think that's one of the most important things. Listen to the fans, because that's how you're going to get people going in to see all these things, these images that they've got in their head actually put onto screen, so they can see how it plans out. And it's just, I think that's one of them. That's one of that's like the main demographic of people who are going to go and see it. But I think as well, if you've got all like original ideas, and well, not original ideas, in you're going to change what happens in the comic book or what happens in the book, but you've got to have original ideas, and like in a way that no one you've never seen them on in cinema, like in a film before, or you've got to have a really good take on how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, because it's all about that, isn't it? Like, obviously nowadays, it's like you've got to be clever of how you come up with things, because you don't want to copy someone. You don't want to copy something that's already been done before. So it's
Yeah,
like, as a director or writer, you've got to be careful about how you write it. Now,
yeah,
it's going back to what we were saying about having good ideas, but then that person thinks about an idea that you haven't thought of, and you think, oh shit, yeah, I haven't thought about that idea. That's actually really good. That could work there. So
yeah,
God knows how many times that script's been edited for them to go, right, I want Suicide Squad to be an official film. That must have been edited to hell, that script,
yeah,
before the actors saw it and before they started shooting the film, because that's what it's all about. I mean,
yeah.
what do you think when it comes to getting stuff right, like scripts and filming? What would you do if you were in that shoes of filming and getting your script right? How would you feel?
Yeah. Well, I think I think you've got to be passionate about it as well, because if you're not liking what you do and you're not passionate about it, it's just not going to come off as good. But I think especially if you get some directors like J.J. Abrams, who did the most recent Star Wars films, and he was probably quite passionate about what he was doing, and so it probably come off a bit better because he actually cares about what he's making. But you might get some filmmakers who are just not that bothered about what they're actually making, and just more bothered about how much money they're going to make off it, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't come off in the end.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about the costumes and that, like even the costumes, like imagine how much time and effort
Yeah,
took to getting the costumes right as well, especially the likes of Harley Quinn, because you couldn't go to Primani and pick a costume out, could you? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? To be like,
yeah,
I don't like this. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like, imagine how much time it actually took to get the costumes, like,
yeah,
and how like they looked on camera as well.
yeah.
I mean,
Because
if you were like a costume designer,
yeah,
how would you design the costume?
yeah, I guess that's what I was gonna say. And I think there's probably a lot of designs that you don't see. Like they'll probably go out and buy something and it just won't work, and it'll just get thrown away. And that because there's probably a lot of different concepts for what it'll look like, and the actor probably gets a certain amount of input on it, like what they think will look good, and the director will get a certain amount of input, and the actual designer will get some input. And so that's probably how it all comes together in the end. But there's probably a lot of concept designs where they'll buy something and they'll just go, "Oh no, I don't think that looks good," and it'll just get thrown away. So I think it'd be interesting to see what it would look like originally before
Yeah.
their input on it.
Yeah, because it's all about it's when you go to these things, it's all about how you style a character and what the character is all about. And
Yeah,
I mean, for example, you couldn't really like get an alien top and stick it on like a romantic character, could you? Do you know what I mean? Like that just wouldn't fit his character. So it's all about reading the script, isn't it? And obviously they're picking out in their minds the costume people. Okay, so this costume's going to work for him.
Yeah.
That costume's going to work for her. So I'll go out. I can see that dress on her. So I'll pick that dress out. So it's like for Harley Quinn, it's like I'll pick out like a baggy jumper or an old jumper, and I'll put that on Harley Quinn, and I'll pick out pants as well and do that for her. Well, I mean, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think with like you can probably go to a shop and you'll see all these stuff and you'll think, like as you were saying, then you'll think, oh, I think that'll suit her. Or I think just like random little, even if it's just like a little detail, like just like, do you know, there's this program called The Big Bang Theory that have you ever heard of it before?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the characters, Howard, has got a little alien enamel pin on his turtleneck, and there's like all little details like that you just wouldn't think of, and people have been asking over the years, like, what I wonder why he wears it, and just there's probably all little things like that you don't take notice of at first, and then you'll see and you think, oh, I wonder what that's about, or well, yeah, just stuff like that, and it's weird how many different designs you could have that suit characters, and you just wouldn't think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going back to the set design as well. It's like even the way the set design is like laid as well, and how it looks. It looks great as well, and that must have took some time getting the set design right, because you couldn't really have a rubbish set design for a science fiction film, could you? What did you think?
Yeah, you can just have something really bland if you're gonna make it like a big personality film. You're gonna have to have like really good set design, so it like it draws you in a way, because if you just had people in the room just sitting there talking, there was nothing going on, it was just like a really bland room, it's gonna be a bit boring. But at least even if someone's even if like they're all sitting in the group and talking about what they're gonna do, something's gonna have to be going on in the background, so it still keeps you thinking about what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the set design nowadays is always crucial, isn't it? Especially to an actor, because an actor likes to likes his surroundings and likes to feel and gets a good feel for the character, so he can bring it out. And a set design is like crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, what would your intake be if you were like a director or set designer? How would you want your set to be if you were creating a film?
Yeah, well, I think probably depends on like the time, the era in which it's taking place. Like, I think if it was like modern, you'd have to have quite a lot of new technology, and you probably have to study each time period and just get all like the little things in the background just right, just so people could tell when you were filming and what time period it was set in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the lighting as well. It's like the whole lighting, everything. It's like every single thing like that is a crucial detail as well. So like even when they've had to change lights around as well to try and get the perfect lighting rather than just sticking with the one light. If you were a lighting person, what would you kind of bring to the table of how you wanted it to look on a film? Like what would you be thinking?
Yeah, well, I think again, it probably depends on how much action is involved in the film. I think with films like The Suicide Squad, you probably have to have a lot of different lighting environments for because there's some really dark places especially in the first Suicide Squad. They're in all like clubs and like nightclubs where they have to go and meet all these like dodgy people, and there's probably all stuff like that. You've got to get it like exactly right, so people can sort of feel how it would feel to be in that situation.
Yep. Well, looks like time's up there, Will. Thanks for coming on today and talking about Suicide Squad. Now, this is a big thing to ask you guys. If you've enjoyed our discussion of Suicide Squad, don't forget to check out my Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. this video will be going up on Friday, so make sure to check out my Facebook, and I'll keep you updated. And thanks for watching.